Hello everyone, this is the Paper Princess. I am very happy to see that I got a lot of views on my latest project share on YouTube, and that is my Nature Notebook scrapbook, and it uses Graphic 45 Nature Notebook paper. So we're going to get started constructing the base album for this, and the next videos will be each page. So what you need, I'm going to just go over real quick what you need to make the base album. I use this 90-point chipboard. It's by Paper Accents. You can use whichever you have, but if you don't have any yet, this is what I use a lot. I like the thickness of it. It's just a little more than some of the medium weight is a little thin for me. So I like this weight, and I got it at createforless.com. And one pack of this, you'll see there's a lot here. You'll be able to make plenty of books. So I use that, and I like the 8.5 by 11 size because a lot of my books are 8.5 in one direction, and you just have to cut one side. So, but if you happen to have 12 by 12, just one thing to point out: this book is going to be 8.5 this way by 8 this way. You want it, when you hold it as if you're looking at the book, you want to bend from the side. This needs to be the stiff side. If you have it like this and it's wobbly, that's the wrong side. So you hold it like that. If you're using 12 by 12, just make sure when you cut it, you want the 8.5 side to be across the top and it to be stiff when you hold it that way. Okay, I am going to take a piece of Tyvek. I got this from a USPS post office, and it's just a mailer envelope. And we'll just add that to our spine area to give it a little more support. Cardstock, I used 80-pound cardstock by American Crafts. I have some score tape here. In the book, we'll be using a lot of this 3/8 inch. But when you're making the base album, you need to cover all of the chipboard, this Tyvek, and so it's a lot. It will take you a while if you just use a small roll. So if you could just get a bigger roll. This one's, I think, 2 inches, and I do have a 4-inch one. There's 3-inch ones. Just, it'll make it go quicker for you if you get a bigger roll. And you need some bookbinding tape. This is black. It's like a cloth material, and I got that on Amazon. And some magnets, undo, bone folder, and that's about it. So let's get started making the base. We have to take a big piece of black paper so that these will all fit across. So what we're going to do is you need 2 pieces of 12 by 12, and it's not quite enough. If you laid it this way, it's not quite enough to fit all those pieces across. So you will need another piece of 12 by 4, let's just say. So let's see if that, yeah, 12 by 4. So you'll have 3 pieces here, and let's get started. We'll clear the way a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to use a score runner, if I can find it. If you have a scoreboard, that's fine too. So the first thing we're going to do is take our 12 by 4 inch piece and score 1/2 inch on both sides. Okay, and when I'm scoring this, I have the flat side of the cardstock face up and the linen side face down, if you're using this kind that has a linen side. Let's take one of the 12 by 12s and score that 1/2 inch. Okay. All right, so the first thing we do is let's take this 4-inch piece and put tape on both sides, and we're going to put it on the bumpy side. So this is the linen side facing up. We just put our score line, so the raised side is right here. And we will put a piece of score tape on both sides. Okay, so I'm using this tear tool. I just made it myself. It's a piece of plastic about 3 by 3, and I put a telephone pop dot there just so I can hold it better. You can use your fingernails, you can use scissors, however you like. If you have something that you can put there, even a ruler, it'll just help you tear it. Okay, so let's fold one of these sides. Okay, so we're gonna take our 12 by 12 piece that we didn't score. I'm gonna hold it like this, put our 4 by 12 going across the top, and this way I can just fold it down. So I use this creative memory tool to tear off my tape backing, because I can hold down the paper as I'm ripping. You can use a Cricut pick tool. Okay, whatever you think would work for you. So basically now we're gonna put this piece on top here, and I'm gonna make sure that it's lined up over here and over here, so I know I'm lined up. I'm just gonna fold down the corner right here first, okay? And I'm gonna walk across with my hands, and I don't wanna see any table showing under here. So I know that the two pieces of paper are butted right up to each other. And then I'll fold down the other side and just go across. Voila, nice and even. Okay, so the next piece that has our score line, all this is the flat side facing up because we want the textured side to be facing the outside. So I am going to, I don't have to fold this. I can just take off this piece of tape and just make this piece using this line and go right down the side. Lift it up a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to make sure I'm flush at the top, and I can feel that with my finger here. And I'm just going to go just below that score line so I can see the score line. I'll press it down, and I'm going to use that to guide me all the way down. And there we go. Okay, and then you can just press this down. And there we have it. It's just, we needed that little extra space. And this will be covered up with paper and bookbinding tape, so you won't see any of these lines. So what we are going to do is just, I'm just gonna lay this out for now just to see where everything lands. Okay, that's good. So we'll need to trim a little bit off of one side, which is fine. But if I didn't have this piece in here, and I found that 4 inches is good because I didn't want these, you know, fold lines right at the edge. You know, it has to be covered by our spine. So you'll see in just a second. But what you want to do, I have this little 2 pieces of chipboard taped together, and that's gonna, I'm gonna put that in the middle of the spine and the front and back cover, and that will give me just the space I need. So basically you need twice the width of your chipboard. Okay, now what I want to do to make sure everything lines up, I'm gonna create a corner right here, cross section, and the corner of this front flap is gonna guide everything else. So I'm going to measure out about, if I use the width of this ruler, which is a little more than 1 inch, That will give me a nice straight line. So some people have a Tim Holtz, the clear plastic ruler, that would work well. Something like this, so that I know that I'm straight there and I can just draw a pencil mark and have the same distance all the way up. Okay, and I want to do the same thing on the bottom. I'm going to use the width of my ruler. Go all the way across. And it's easy. I know it's straight because I can see right across the bottom. Okay. So I'm just going to lay this out to see how much we need to cut off of this other side. So we put the first piece right up against this pencil mark, right against that pencil mark. We have our spacer, that there. This is just to give me an idea of where everything falls. Okay, and now I can see we have too much space over here. So I could take my ruler, put it up against this back cover. If you want to give yourself a little bit of room just in case. And this, draw a pencil mark. Okay, that's where we're going to cut. And you can see that the reason why I chose 4 inches is because I have a seam right here against this paper, this back chipboard, and right about here in the spine. I just didn't want the seams to be at the edge of this spine. So as long as they're in the middle, it will be well supported. That is the reasoning for that. So let's put everything aside for a second and cut this piece off the end. And there we go. Normally I save pieces, but that's too narrow to do much with. Okay. Now, what we need to do, if you haven't already, I just took a little piece of this Tyvek, and basically I want it to be about the same height as our spine and just have a little more than an inch, inch and a half on each side. So that's how you measure that. Looks like I can cut a little piece off of the end here to make it straight. All right. Now, let's take all our pieces that we're gonna put tape on. I'm gonna put this aside for right now, get it out of the way. And now it's time to cover these pieces with score tape. Okay, so this is our front cover, front or back. And let's put our tape there. Yeah, with this big roll, I can't really tear it. It's too big. So I just cut the end. This 4-inch roll will work out perfectly. You could just trim any pieces that are hanging over. It's not absolutely necessary. It's all going to be tucked under, but yeah, I'm being particular here. Okay, now once you've got that covered, you just want to press it down. Get any bubbles out of your score tape and it helps it stick better if it's pressed down. Makes a world of a difference. All right, we've got our first piece. Let's do the next one. Oopsie. Do not stick ahead of time. Ah, okay. Go. It just clung right down. All right, and we'll press this down. There we go. All right, and now the spine. Well, if I use my 2-inch piece, either way, I'm gonna have to trim a little bit off, so that is all right. Trim this off. I might save it just to see if there might be a little space when we do our Tyvek. Nah, it's not really gonna be enough. Okay, let's press this down. Okay, and now the Tyvek. So this isn't as important to get every little bit, every piece. If there's a, you know, if you didn't cut the Tyvek perfectly, you'll have piece sections where there's no tape, but that is okay. See up here? You don't need to worry about that. As long as the middle, whoops, that's too much. I'll use my 2-inch. I have a piece of tape left over from another project, so I'm going to put that right here. And then I'll get my regular roll of 3/8 inch and just cover this area right here. I had this piece left over from something else I did. Might as well use it. There's just a little area. Might as well take a 1/4 inch over here. Don't really have to, but I'll just do that. Okay. And let's press this down. Okay. Now, let's bring back our big long piece of our paper, our base paper. And again, I'm just going to lay it out real quick. that there. Okay, looks good. So I just want to make sure about the top. If I need to cut, I probably should cut a little strip off the top, and it's much better to do that before you put these down. Yeah, so I'll just take a little bit off. I'm going to put one of these right along the edge here and just draw a little pencil line. I'm going to cut about, looks like an inch off. Not an inch, let me see. Like 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to put my ruler down on top of these chipboards and run across. And look at the top, make sure it's about an inch. Okay. And this is too long to put in our trimmer, so I'm just going to trim it. Doing here. Okay. And if it's not absolutely straight, that's not important. We're going to fold it over. So, let's get back to what we were doing here. If I lay these out, right, I just want to see where, the first thing we're going to do is place our tie back. So I just want to put a little pencil mark where we're going to start our tie back. So I will space it out like that, and I'm going to pull this over a little bit. Okay, and all I need is for the tie back to be like the spine is in the middle of it, which it looks. So I'm going to put a pencil mark right here where this tie back starts, and I'm going to put that down first. Okay, let's take off all this tape backing. And be careful because this stuff is really sticky. When I turn it over, I'm gonna not be too close to the paper when I'm lining it up, or it'll just stick right down. Okay. Make sure I'm facing the right direction here. This way. And I'm gonna start at that pencil mark, and that's where, and I'm gonna look down for my line at the bottom. I don't want to go over that line, and I'll just put this down. Okay, there we go. Okay, now the first thing we do, and this one is very important because it sets up the whole rest of it. So our front cover, pick a piece, any piece of the 8.5 by 8. Okay, and just make sure when you bend it, you're facing the right direction. We want our 8.5 inch side going across the top. And then what you do is, I'm not just gonna go plop and put it down. I'm going to hold it at an angle so nothing can really stick except this very edge of this chipboard. And I want to line it up against this pencil mark and this pencil mark. I want to get the corner right in the corner. Okay, so look. Okay, it's lined up against this edge. It's lined up on the bottom. And I'm going to slowly drop it down. Okay, and then press that down when you're happy with it. Okay, now for the spine, we have to have our spacer here. I'm going to take off this piece of tape, backing. Okay, I'm going to hold this jig, this spacer, right up against my front cover. Hold this at that angle again so there's nothing really sticking. And I want to look and make sure it's lined up on that pencil mark and it's looking at the top. It's flush against that piece, the front cover, and down here I can feel it with my thumb. Got it pressed up against this spacer, and then I can just slowly let it go. And there we have a nice little space. Okay. Press out any bubbles under there. And now for the back cover. So we're moving right along. And once you know how to do this, you can make books in whatever size you want. And I like the control of it. I used to buy pre-made flat books and just put in the paper myself. But this way, that's how I started. But this way, you have complete control. So it's kind of cool to know how to do this. All right, so I'm going to put my spacer against the spine. Double check, facing the right direction. This is 8.5 inches. Okay, I've got this across, right flush against that. I'm holding this at an angle. And I'm looking at the bottom. It looks lined up with the spine at the top. It looks like it's heading towards that pencil mark, which is what I want. And I'm going to slowly let it down. And I have a nice little space here. So everything looks good. There's a little more than an inch at the top, bottom, and the sides. So we are good. And the main thing is our crease lines right here are not in the middle here or right at the edge of any of these spine or front and back cover pieces. They're in the middle solidly, not middle, but you know, they're into the piece of chipboard a little, which is what you want. All right, so the next thing to do is to tape all around the edge of our cardstock and all along the edges of our chipboard. I'm going to use the 3/8 inch, and I hold it like this. It gives me some control over it. So let's start going across the bottom. We don't have to go all the way to the corner there because we're going to be cutting a corner right here, but I'll go into it a little bit and just slowly run it so it's right on the edge of this paper. Go all the way around. There we go. And the last side. And then we're gonna go on the bottom edge of the chipboard all the way around. We are coming right along here. And the last side. Okay, and then we can press all this down. I'm using this Teflon bone folder, so it's a little thicker, so I don't have to go like this, I can go like that. Got it on Amazon. Actually, this one I got at a stamp show, expo, but they do have them on Amazon. Okay, all right, now the next thing is to cut our corners. So, I'm gonna show you something. I have a corner mitering tool that I got. If you don't have this, there is a way to do it. I will show you. But it's only a couple dollars. It's not very expensive. But I got it at www.colorwaysarts.com. And it just helps. Basically, the idea is there's an 1/8 of an inch space right here in the corner. So that's what you need at your corners. You need an 1/8 of an inch space. If I put this here, I can just take my pencil and go across, and that's where I'm gonna cut. If you don't have this, you can take your ruler. Basically, an 1/8 of an inch is 2 lines. So you can hold your ruler away from your corner piece right here, about an 1/8 of an inch at least, and then draw a pencil mark. So basically you just need that bit of space there. Okay, so if you don't have this, you can just do it with your ruler. Make sure that's an 1/8 of an inch. Yeah, it was spot on. So you can do it with the ruler. Okay, and then we'll cut the corners. By putting the tape on first, every bit of this edge line, it goes to the tape goes right up to it. You want every bit of that to have tape. I don't know if you can see me down here. I don't think you can. So I'm just cutting this last corner. All right. Now we are going to wrap the book. So the first one, it's pretty easy. It just, when you do the sides,